At the turn of the millennium, it seemed clear who WWE was going to push. Talents such as Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle seemed like surefire main eventers, and even the tag teams had young talent that had potential. Guys such as Jeff Hardy and Edge. Edge in particular is perceived as a talent with probably the most potential. He always showed charisma and already had the look, and Edge's 2001 showed that there was indeed something special about him. 2002 followed up with him improving in-ring and wrestling more often in main event matches on SmackDown, and his stock was at its highest, and for certain, the landscape of WWE would have been different had he never gotten injured in 2003. The injury left him sidelined for over a year, and at this point, a lot changed. Upon his return, Edge came in hot. He had some momentum and intensity behind him, but as time went on, he was just forgettable. Edge was talking about how he was going to take out Evolution, this and that, and compared to 2002, a lot was missing. He didn't have that exciting factor to him, and I don't know if it's his look of frustration or whatever, but he wasn't liked. At Toronto, in his own hometown, they booed him, and at the time, fans wouldn't really boo the hometown hero. Edge was very frustrated with the reaction he got from the fans. It was disappointing to come back to the city where you're from, and instead of getting homecoming welcome, the fans boo you. Then to top it all off, Edge tore his groin muscle, which left him sidelined for over a month, so he had to relinquish the Intercontinental Championship. On the October 4th, 2004 episode of Raw, Edge made his return to attack Evolution. He speared Triple H and held the world title, and it was a clear message from him. He was talking about how he was going to go after Evolution, and it seemed like that was the direction they were going, but that wasn't the case. Later that night, when asked about Taboo Tuesday, he said that unlike Benoit and HBK, he faced Triple H 0 times and received the title shot 0 times. Now, because he's undeserving. Edge mentioned his previous success and said that the fans should vote him in because he actually deserves it. The following week, Edge scored the W for his team on Raw, and he used this to show that he deserves a title shot. But then Benoit got out angry, mentioning WrestleMania 20 before HBK grabbed the mic, and instead of talking about himself, he asked the fans who should get the title shot. They booed Edge. Benoit had a decent reception, but HBK was the clear winner. Edge speared him from out of nowhere, and Eric Bischoff came out and booked a triple threat match for next week. Damn, Edge's spear looked brutal here, looked rough. He even dropped Benoit afterwards. Before the match happened, they had a debate. For Edge, he put it simply: I haven't had a title shot, I deserve it because I'm the youngest and the hungriest. Edge even guaranteed that if he faced Triple H, he'll win the title. Benoit didn't forget about his actions from the previous week and said he made Triple H tap out. Michaels told everyone to just watch him face Triple H. He doesn't need to debate because he knew that they could beat Triple H. Instead, he wanted to fight. They brawl, Todd Grisham takes a super kick, and Edge makes a run. Later that night, he managed to win the match, which showed maybe, just maybe, he was going to get the vote. At Taboo Tuesday, Edge gave his final thoughts. He saw the triple threat as proof that he deserves a title match. Chris Benoit said that if people are sick and tired of Triple H and Evolution, they should vote for him. Shawn Michaels, who suffered an injury during the triple threat, said nobody should give him sympathy. He has a torn meniscus, but if they give him one more shot, he's gonna give it all. And the vote was in. Shawn Michaels was going to face Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. He beat Edge by 6%, and he was more than frustrated at the fans voting for an injured person. About the tag team titles, he saw him as nothing more than a consolation prize. A while later, Edge told Shawn Michaels that he should have dropped out because he's injured. He called him a selfish son of a and went out there to face La Resistance. While Edge did compete for a bit, he walked away. Benoit wins the titles, and later that night he returned to spear Shawn Michaels and cost him the match. It was shouting it should have been mean. What's interesting about this is that if Edge did win the vote, he was supposed to win the title. This is something he talked about during his Inside the Ropes interview. So maybe he was actually pissed. With that said, Edge complained on Raw. He mentioned how he won the triple threat match and showed bitterness over how he went through a year-long injury. He broke his hand and then he gets booed out of the building at SummerSlam, and because of 6% his life changed. Edge was so pissed over this that he said that the fans will see him on Raw when he's ready. HBK took a jab at Edge saying he's broken down, yet he dragged himself to work. HBK was very thankful of the fans voting for him and showed respect, and the following week, he made his return and was much more excited. His book was coming out and he took his title. Edge told Benoit to watch himself or he's going to have to defend the titles alone. About that, well, Benoit competed alone. A while later, Edge comes out all excited. His theme song was now Metalingus, and after messing around with Benoit, they lost the titles. He attacked him after the match and blasted him with a belt and even locked in the crossface, forcing him to tap out. So the heel turn had been cemented, although it does feel like his heel turn had begun at Taboo Tuesday. At the same time, Edge was set to team up with Triple H, Batista, and Snitsky to face Team Orton at Survivor Series. Before the event, though, he had to face Chris Benoit. Now, for Edge, he wanted this match, and the feeling he had when he gave him a beating, it was something that was truly exciting. Triple H, on the other hand, was happy to see that Edge has changed and welcomed him to the team. Edge told him straight up that he's coming for him when they win at Survivor Series, and that main event turned into a brawl, with the babyfaces sending the heels running. At Survivor Series, Edge put in a great performance, but it was Orton's night. He peaked as a babyface here, but that's a different story. But yeah, the babyfaces won, they got to run Raw now. The next night, Edge had to team up with his old buddy Christian. He saw Christian as beneath him, and so Captain Charisma made fun of him for being injury prone. He even mentioned how he beat Shawn Michaels. because Edge didn't. Christian was focused on the match, whereas Edge wanted to give the fans a 5-second pose. For all that talk, Captain Charisma lost the match, and because of this, Edge gave him a beating. On this attack, Edge said that it was to make a point. He's not a tag team partner anymore. He wants the world title, and he was even more pissed at Benoit for giving himself a title shot that night. He's like, oh, I deserve it, this and that. And Todd was just staring at him, and Edge thought this was a sign of doubt. He thought Todd Grisham was doubting him. So he asked the Divas. He's like, oh, do I deserve a title shot? Christy said no. He asked again, and she apologized. So he told her to apologize to her mirror. Damn. This guy straight up said he voted for Shawn Michaels. Like, why? So Chris Benoit told him to do something if he had a problem. After Triple H was attacked, Edge was set to face Benoit in a steel cage match. He accidentally speared Benoit out to lose the match, and at this point, Edge was more than frustrated over this because he isn't getting a title shot. He's been screwed over left and right, but it wasn't that big of a problem because after getting eliminated with Chris Benoit in the Battle Royal the following week, he won the title shot. Benoit was in the match though, and Edge had to beg Orton, who was constantly responding with, I'll think about it, like an NPC. The match itself was very dramatic. Randy Orton was solely focused on screwing Triple H over, and they had one of those controversial finishes which meant nobody won the match. And Triple H, when he realized what's up, went wild. Now of course Randy Orton was excited about this. Why? Because it meant he could compete for the title again. Edge though was anything but happy. He interrupted Orton's interview and complained about how he should be champion. It was the best feeling, winning that title, but it was ripped away from him. He was screwed, and just because Randy Orton's a failure, it doesn't mean he should ruin his dream. And he called out Randy Orton. Orton came out and said that Edge is nothing, and in this ring, we know what's up. If he wants to blame someone, then he should blame himself. Orton even went as far as to say that he's been a world champion. The failure's Edge. He then mentioned how he ended his Intercontinental title reign, and then he said, quote, you can say that I bitch every week. When it comes down to you and me, you're my bitch. And they brawled. The officials had to come out and separate them, and they had the match the following week. For all that talk that Edge was better than Orton, he took an RKO and lost. But there was still a possibility that he would have a great night because Eric Bischoff was back. Edge whined about being the rightful champion, and Bischoff told him that he's going to make the decision and give Edge something he's never had. So later that night, Bischoff called the 3 men out to the ring. Triple H thought the choice was obvious, to give him back the title. Bischoff didn't feel a rematch was necessary, and handing the title over to Edge would be a bad idea from a business standpoint because he's never held the title. So Eric Bischoff booked an Elimination Chamber match for the World Heavyweight Championship. All 3 of these men, Chris Jericho, Batista, who was more than happy, and Randy Orton were going to be in the match. A brawl ensues, and Randy Orton once again stood tall, as is the usual, because if you look at Raw from 04 to 05, Orton always stands tall and ends up losing when it matters most. For Edge, it went from bad to worse, as the special referee for the match was Shawn Michaels. He's fuming. Triple H was in disbelief. Orton, Benoit, Batista were annoyed, and Chris Jericho was a weirdo. Now, Edge couldn't understand why HBK was the referee. Bischoff explained it simply. He's like, you injured him, you cost me revenue, and so that's why he's a special referee. With that said, New Year's Revolution was a tremendous, superb Elimination Chamber match. This is probably the best chamber match, arguably. Why? Well, there's a bunch of stuff that happened. Edge accidentally speared Michaels, and when he had Orton down for the count, he went up to HBK, grabbed him disrespectfully, of course, and paid the price with a super kick and a lion salt to be eliminated. The match goes on. It's one of the best. It's violent. It's bloody. It's befitting of the Elimination Chamber. And the only match I feel that rivals it is the original from Survivor Series 2002. He called out Shawn Michaels the next night after destroying Rhino with the Educator. And this man was something else. He was really crazy. Edge was ready for a fight. And he was losing it over being screwed so many times. He talked about his past problems and how he won the title. He took it away from him. And to top it all off, he mentioned how HBK screwed him. Shawn Michaels came out and called Edge bitter. The problem that Michaels had with Edge was that he complains and thinks everything is his. He was the same person as him in the past, he wanted to be the best, the showstopper as well, and he told Edge to stop complaining about the past and look towards the future. He told him, don't look for a spot in the Royal Rumble, win the whole thing. Edge kinda agreed with Michaels that he should slap some sense into himself, but preferred this, and they brawl. They fought all over the place and the fans were going crazy. The following week, Edge caught Michaels with a spear, and he was still going wild because 2005 Edge is just that. He had insult to injury, locking him in the Educator, and he almost got his in the 6-man tag, but he managed to escape. Their match at the Rumble was great. Edge was solely focused on redemption, and apparently HBK was his biggest problem because if it wasn't for him, he would be champion. The match had a great crowd to enhance it, and it's easily one of the best Royal Rumble openers. Edge stole to win and proved that he could beat Shawn Michaels. Later that night, he had a great showing in the Royal Rumble, and the Rumble itself was a preview of what WWE's main event scene had to offer in the next few years. Edge, Rey, Cena, Batista, these guys were the final 4. It was awesome. Edge made it to the final 3, but he was eliminated by both Cena and Batista, and you know what that means. The next night on Raw, Edge was back to whining about how he lost the Royal Rumble. He was about to do something to Christian when Shawn Michaels came out. HBK was somewhat embarrassed that he lost to Edge, and he was frustrated over Kurt Angle eliminating him, so he wanted to alleviate some of that frustration and wanted a match with Edge. Now, because he won, Edge wanted Michaels to shake his hand, because this is something that HBK had mentioned in the past. He did just that and hit the sweet chin music, so the feud continues. For Edge, it wasn't all bad because Raw was in Japan. He finally got his title shot, yet despite this, he was complaining about getting overlooked. Batista's decision, evolution, he's like, none of that matters. What matters is tonight. No, he put up a fight. Problem was, the drama ensued because Ric Flair is by Triple H's side. It's a Raw main event from 2005, so you should expect the ref to get knocked down. It also didn't help that Batista pulled the chair away. So Edge attacked him and he ended up costing him the match. Of course, he wasn't going to shut up about this, and at the same time, he saw Batista on the SmackDown situation and he was out to prove that the Raw main event spot should be his. He got his ass kicked by Batista in the main event, but it ended in a no contest because he went after JBL. But back to HBK. After failing to hit the concerto on Shawn Michaels and subsequently losing the match because of Christian, Edge was pissed off. He decided, I'm going to attack HBK, and he ended up spearing him in the back. This led to a street fight. Edge's issues with Michaels came down to simply being overlooked. He's talking about Kurt Angle and WrestleMania, but what about this match? He was ready to give him a beating so bad that he wouldn't make it to WrestleMania. Okay, this one was the end of the feud and it was their most intense match. Edge beat Michaels so bad that he brought out the old HBK. He was bloody and battered when Edge hit the spear, and even then it still wasn't enough. So he was ready to hit another one, but this time, Michaels caught him with the sweet chin music to win the match and the feud. Easily, this is the best match in the feud. It perfectly captured the hatred and contempt each man had for each other. Edge thought Michaels was a has-been. Michaels thought Edge was never going to win the big one. And for Michaels, he proved that he still got it and was off to face Kurt Angle. As for Edge, he had something else. On the March 7th, 2005 episode of Raw, 5 men including Edge were in Eric Bischoff's office. He approved of Jericho's idea of having a 6-man ladder match, but Edge didn't see why he should hurt himself in that match. It's not going to benefit him. But Eric Bischoff said it was for a title shot, and this was more than enticing for Edge, but Bischoff made it better. He said that it was for a briefcase called Money in the Bank, and the winner could cash it at any time. The day after WrestleMania, or even WrestleMania 22, they could challenge for that title. On the final Raw before WrestleMania 21, Chris Jericho hosted the highlight reel. He said that he craved holding the title, but Benoit disagreed, saying he's the hungriest. Benjamin, though, was starving, and unlike everyone in the match, he knows something about currently being a champion. Christian thought he had the best chance, but Shelton said he's most likely to take a beating from Batista or Triple H. Now, Christian did have something over them. He won 2 WrestleMania ladder matches, and then Edge came out. He made it seem like he carried Christian in those matches, and without him, he's going to be Money in the Bank. Winning titles, breaking necks, he's been through all of them, and he was ready to snap their necks if it got him the World Heavyweight Championship. Benoit was ready to break his, and a brawl ensues. A couple of minutes later, a tag team match goes down, and it's Kane who stands tall in the end. Okay, Money in the Bank at WrestleMania was something special. There's only a handful of matches I feel rival this one, and I can't even count them with a full hand. They still play highlights from this match because of how good it was. It was a defining moment in Edge's career, but regardless, the thing that makes it so good is the heart. These men would destroy themselves if it meant they had a title shot. This wasn't about stealing the show, although Shelton probably did. It was about the opportunity, just the opportunity to challenge for the title. Edge was the smartest one. He saw the opportunity and made the most out of it to win Money in the Bank. Big moment, easily one of the best moments in his career. With Edge being Money in the Bank, he told Eric Bischoff that he wasn't going to face Batista. He told him he'll say win. So Bischoff told him his opponent for tonight was Chris Benoit. Benoit's arm was broken and it was Edge's advantage. All he had to do was go after the arm, and Benoit did put up a fight, but it was really Edge's to lose. And he did just that, so after the match, he continued attacking the arm. He added insult to injury the following week, costing him his match with Christian, and their rematch only intensified the rivalry. They hated each other so much that they brawled after the commercial, and Eric Bischoff had to come in and book a last man standing match for Backlash. Edge provoked Benoit once more in order for him to come out and brawl the following week, but it wasn't much. Once again, Backlash was good for Edge. The match itself is often overlooked for a couple of reasons. For one, it happened after WrestleMania, and of course Chris Benoit's another reason. That said, it's somewhat of a gem. Benoit gave Edge a fight. He was hitting spears, blasting him with a briefcase, but it wasn't enough. So he had to blast him with a brick, and this got him the victory. Now, even though Edge had the Money in the Bank, an opportunity to challenge for the title came when he was inserted in the Gold Rush tournament. Todd Grisham asked him, why are you in the tournament when you have a guaranteed title shot? They said that Batista couldn't withstand 2 title defenses against him when Todd Grisham mentioned that he could get drafted to SmackDown, therefore nullifying the Money in the Bank briefcase. And he got angry. Edge then went up to Victorian lead and had a weird moment. Chris Jericho gave him a fight later that night. It was so tough that Edge had to use the briefcase, but he hit the spear. His next opponent was Shawn Michaels. Maria called him the Edge, and HBK believed he could win. After Shelton Benjamin gave him a run for his money, he endorsed him and said that he's got a bright future, unlike the Edge. He told him to prepare to throw a hissy fit, and it was on. This was so exciting with the crowd reacting to every near fall, big move, and the ref got knocked down. HBK hits the super kick, but there's no ref. Edge recovers, grabs that briefcase, and HBK ducked the first time, but the second, he took a shot, and Edge advances to the final. His opponent this time around was Kane. He told Lita that what he did to Shawn Michaels is nothing compared to what he does to her husband, Kane. This led to Kane going after Edge and threatening him. For Edge, this match meant everything. He's never been the champion, and it was driving him crazy. Even though Kane was one of his toughest challenges, he still managed to hit the spear on him. That, of course, wasn't enough, so he brought in the briefcase. Kane knocks him down. Lita has the briefcase herself. As he's going to the top, she passes it to Edge, who blasts him and wins the match. So Edge is now #1 contender. She then jumps into his arms, and they embrace as JR's cursing them. To top it all off, they kissed and received a lot of heat from the crowd. Damn, that was a great way to start the Edge and Lita relationship. And it was a great way of beginning the rated R era. So this is where I'm going to end the video. Now for Edge, he needed this heel turn. In the beginning, he was this face who was losing momentum. Everyone was passing him by, and it was necessary. You know, the moment he turned heel, it was just so good. You could see that he was so into it with the facial expressions, the aggression, the action itself, the way he was wrestling, his promos, everything was good about it. Then they bring him Lita later on, and he has Money in the Bank, and it gets even better. You know, like this version of Edge is not my favorite or anything like that, but it was necessary for him to have this weird time period where he's craving a title shot, a title match, a title, to become rated R Edge. Because after this, he wasn't crazy. This version of Edge, he's crazy, he's a lunatic, he's all that. But with Lita by his side, who's more of a douche. So yeah. Alright, what did you guys think of Edge's heel turn? Please comment down below. And that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the execution on the like button or perhaps the spear on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.